I grew up in the world of shooting when I was 11 years old. My dad, he was very strict, but he was very smart. He made sure that I knew how to handle a gun long before he let me have any cartridges. In fact, for 12 months, every time he took me out with him, he made me carry a big old duck gun around. For 12 months, and he never let me have any cartridges, but what he was doing is watching me every minute of the time we were out. After rabbits, pigeons, pheasant, ducks in the winter time, he was watching me. Now, I passed my apprenticeship at 12 years of age, and I shot my first pigeon when I was 12. Because Father had the trust of, well, I had the trust of Father, and that was a treasure beyond measure. I'm not joking, folks. So then, you notice this is a side-by-side. It's a 12-bore shotgun. This particular one is a 3-inch Magnum. It's a wildfownder's gun for duck shooting. Now, the Victorians, interesting history this, the Victorians, brilliant engineers, they perfected this. In other words, the modern side-by-side shotgun cannot be made to work any better. Now, that was perfected 150 years ago. The Victorians, we've got a lot to thank for, but it cannot be improved. There's nothing any engineer or a scientist with the powders or the shot can do to make it work any better. So then, the first thing to do with shotguns is you make sure that the barrels are clear. If you're clumsy, like last winter we had a lot of snow, and it's very easy to accidentally get a plug of snow in the muzzles of the gun. Mud, if you're out on the farmer's muddy fields, or in the wildfounding on the D estuary. You get the slimy, oozy estuary mud stuck in there, and you didn't check. If you fire a cartridge behind it, you'll blow the end of the gun right off. I'm not joking. I've seen guns that has had that happen. So you've got to double check, make sure the gun's clear. Notice the cartridge. Now this is a 3-inch cartridge. And you notice it's that little bit longer than a standard cartridge. What you have to remember is that you need to know the chamber length of your gun. So if this is 3 inch and I put it in a 2 3/4 inch chamber, it's obviously too short. And you could get some nasty bulges somewhere about here. So again, you need to learn this stuff. The golden rule with shooting, folks, is that you never, ever point guns towards other people. If you watch me for the next half an hour, you will never catch me out. I'll always make sure I know where my gun barrel is pointed. And that's the secret that I learned when I was just 11 years old. Now inside the action is a very simple thing. It is not rocket science. You have a hammer which strikes a firing pin, which strikes the cap on the base of the cartridge. There you go. You'll see that in the firearms display from the BASE a bit later. That's a percussion cap. When you strike it, it goes crack. Now that flame ignites the main powder charge underneath the wad. It pushes the wad, which is a tight-fitting seal, in the bore, and on top of that you've got the shot. So the whole lot gets driven down the barrel. So it's important to remember that the hammer is fired by a mainspring. The mainspring is forcing the hammer, and the triggers are there ready to pull the trigger to release the hammers. It's not rocket science, it's really simple. Now, it's a quick point here, and this is something for you clay pigeon shooters. If you want to go up a step and go live quarry shooting, like pigeon shooting, you're going to find you need to get out of your stupid habits. You know who you are. I see it every time I go on a clay pigeon shoot. You can hear them down there. They'll stand in the trap, like so. You can see the target, see where the target's going, and then they'll load their gun. In goes the cartridges. What do? Slam the gun up like this. Look where it's pointing, folks. That is a very, very silly thing to do. It's a very bad habit to get into. All right, and you know who you are, right? The way to close a gun properly is with a stock up to the barrels. You have to remember, and I have truly seen this, a gun that's not been serviced properly, an old farmer's gun, literally go bang when it's slammed shut like that. Now look where it's pointing, folks. That is not the way to close a gun. The way to close a gun is with a stock up to the barrels. If it did fail, it goes off harmlessly into the ground there. Okay, so that's hopefully that's fully understood. Now all guns are fitted with a safety catch. Do not be fooled by this. The gun makers have really got this wrong for the last 200 years. The safety catch does nothing more than stop the triggers from being pulled. It does not stop the hammer from striking the pin which fires the cartridge. And that's where the manufacturers have always got it wrong, in my firm belief. So you never rely on the safety. That is a golden rule. The best safety you could ever have is to make sure your gun barrels are always pointed up in the air at all times. Got me? Right. Now then, before my dog finally strangles himself, I'm going to fire a shot. Jake, are you quite finished? Now, if you do go shooting, you've got to have a dog. Now, this guy, he's only 12 months old, just over 12 months. And the noise from the shotgun is very loud. because when I go pigeon shooting, I'll be shooting from a position like a hide, a bit like you see there, and Jake's going to have to sit in there patiently for anything up to 8 hours a day. So he's got to be steady and well used to the loud bangs. What you have to remember is that the bang from the shotgun is actually very, very loud. It actually breaks the sound barrier. Now, the speed of sound travels at 1,100 feet per second. It's pretty damn quick. So, when he was younger, I trained him with these metal dinner bowls because I wanted to associate this loud bang with something he enjoys, called food. And so I used to bang his metal dinner bowl against the side of his kennel very gently when he was a small pup, and over time, over a long period of time, he got louder and louder. Until I got to the stage where wherever he was in the garden, I could bang this metal dinner bowl really loudly, and he'd come straight up and sit because he knows it's dinner time. That's a really simple trick to use. So then, I've now got him used to the loud bang, and it really is loud, so you have to hang on to your hats, alright? I hope you can hear that. Hang on to your hats. Now, you youngsters, there's a young person over there, a little person. This may be a bit loud for him. Okay? Good lad, that's what I'm thinking. Okay then, so when you do this for the first time, you need to be at a distance, and you need to make sure that you've got the gun at a far enough distance so that the dog is not fazed by it. You do not want to rush into this if you've got an unsteady or indeed an excitable dog. Jake, what you've got to do is get this eye contact. He's got his eye firmly fixed on your baby there. Jake, stay. He says, I've got to, Dad, because I'm tied to a goose, so I'm tied to a stick with a piece of string. Good boy. Right, are you ready now? Stand by! Don't watch me, watch him. That's exactly what I wanted. Sorry about all that stuff. It's grim, isn't it? I've got a pigeon there, I didn't even see it.